I'm Nancy Cavey, National ERISA and Individual Disability Attorney. Welcome to Winning Isn't Easy. Before I get started, I have to give you a legal disclaimer. This podcast is not legal advice. The Florida Bar Association says I have to say this, so I've said it. But nothing prevents me from giving you an easy to understand overview of the disability insurance world, the games the carriers play, and what you need to know to get the disability benefits you deserve. Are you ready? In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about Mutual of Omaha's wild kingdom of disability claims management. Mutual of Omaha was founded in 1909. It's based in Omaha, Nebraska. It owns United of Omaha, and from this point forward, when I use the term Mutual of Omaha, I'm going to mean both companies because they both play from the same playbook. Now, both companies will offer a variety of insurance options, including disability insurance products. In fact, it was one of the first companies that offered disability insurance policies to non-professional workers. I remember watching Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom that was hosted by Marlon Perkins and Jim Fowler. It was on TV for over 20 years, and the Wild Kingdom now has a segment on Animal Planet. Unfortunately, many of my Mutual of Omaha disability insurance clients feel like they've been eaten by the lion on the Wild Kingdom. All too often, Mutual of Omaha will rip the financial rug and safety net from under its policyholders. One of the things that they do offer, as I've said, is group ERISA disability insurance. And if it is offered by an employer, most likely it's going to be governed by ERISA. If you are purchasing the policy through a church plan or through a municipality, it probably is not an ERISA plan. But the majority of Mutual of Omaha policies are offered under the auspices of the ERISA statute. Now, what's important is that most of these Mutual of Omaha policies will have limitations on how long you can get payment for mental conditions or subjective conditions like fibromyalgia, pain, headaches, or chronic fatigue. And these policies have strict definitions of disability and occupation. So as a result, I'm going to be talking about those characteristics of Mutual of Omaha policies. So first, I'm going to talk about how Mutual of Omaha policies use the double whammy of objective evidence and subjective medical condition policy limitations to deny or limit the payment of benefits. The myths that Mutual of Omaha disability insurance policyholders believe and the truth. And I'm going to close with the story of two Mutual of Omaha policyholders who had to deal with Mutual of Omaha games in determining their own occupation and what happened when the definition of disability changed in their policy. I'm going to take a quick break, but when I come back, we'll continue. Stay tuned.
Have you been robbed of your peace of mind from your disability insurance carrier? You owe it to yourself to get a copy of Robbed of Your Peace of Mind, which provides you with everything you need to know about the long-term disability claim process. Request your free copy of the book at caveylaw.com today.
So first, let's talk about how Mutual of Omaha policies use the double whammy of objective evidence and subjective medical condition policy limitations to deny or limit the payment of benefits. The most common policy provision that I'll see in a Mutual of Omaha policy is one that requires objective medical evidence. Mutual of Omaha is going to require that you have objective medical evidence of your diagnosis. And while that's easy if you have a herniated disc in your spine, it can be impossible if you've got migraines, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or if your doctor is having difficulty making a definitive diagnosis. Now, there's another whammy in the policy, and that's the subjective medical condition limitation. Mutual of Omaha will reject your subjective complaints of pain, fatigue, concentration, and even side effects of medication. They actually might have in the policy a particular list of medical conditions that they think are subjective medical conditions. And that can include even a back condition if there is no longer any evidence of objective findings on a diagnostic study like an MRI or EMG or nerve conduction study test. It also is broadly drawn to include conditions like migraines, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or even symptoms that are consistent with difficulties with such things as chest pain or problems with breathing or swallowing. I mean, it's amazing how they will kind of limit the medical conditions covered under the subjective medical condition limitation. So it really becomes a double whammy if you are, for example, applying for your benefits as a result of, let's say, fibromyalgia. Because Mutual of Omaha wants objective evidence of the diagnosis of fibromyalgia and your complaints, and they're going to try to ultimately limit their exposure to benefits under the 2-year subjective medical condition limitation. So I think it's crucial that before you stop working and apply for your Mutual of Omaha benefits, that you look at the terms of your policy, because many of their plans or policies will have limitations on the period of payment of benefits for subjective medical conditions or self-reported conditions. For example, in the case of Curran versus United Omaha Life Insurance Company, the Ninth Circuit held that a policy limited the payment of self-reported symptoms to just 2 years if there wasn't any objective evidence of disability. Now, Curran suffered from fibromyalgia, and the diagnosis was based on the traditional 18-point trigger point test that has been recognized by the American College of Rheumatology. But as we all know, there's really no gold standard objective test, and this unenlightened circuit court said that that was too bad, so sad, since there was no objective basis of the diagnosis. Now, I say that it's a bad decision because there are many circuits that acknowledge that conditions like fibromyalgia or migraines are not susceptible of the objective proof. And they'll simply look to see if other medical conditions have been ruled out, what the diagnostic examination or studies show, the consistency of the complaints, and whether that entire picture is consistent with a diagnosis of fibromyalgia or a migraine. So you can see you need to know what's in your Mutual of Omaha policy before you stop working and apply for your disability benefits. In the next segment, I'm going to do some myth busting. Today's myth is going to be that Mutual of Omaha will use a deliberate, reasoned, and principled process in reviewing, deciding, and paying my benefits. Stay tuned.